Hello everyone and welcome to May's Crochet. I am Rachel and today I'm not going to crochet, but I'm going to brag about my crochet. Sounds a little obnoxious, but I don't really care because it's okay to be proud of what you've made. So 5 years ago in April, I started my crochet journey and I talked about this in my first video, and I did not make a lot of great stuff in 2019. It was a blanket and a rug and they were fine. And then I got an amigurumi kit for Christmas. I made a little Harry Potter. It's wonky, but it started my journey into Ami and really loving crochet, because before I got that Ami kit, I really thought that this was just gonna be like blankets and scarves, and there's only so many of those you can make until you get bored, at least for me. Though this has been my year of blankets, but that's a whole other story. So I'm gonna talk about my top 5 plus 1 favorite crochet items that I have made in the last 5 years. That's been more like 4 because I didn't really make anything I was super proud of that first year, but we all have to start somewhere and that is okay. In fact, it's a great record to show how far you've come. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, this is my zombie strawberry. His name is Tom. I don't know why, because it rhymes, I guess. Anyways, I got the idea for him from Karen Joy. She's a big TikTok DIYer. She has like over 2 million followers. And I started following her before her 1 million mark. She was pretty popular, but she hadn't really blown up yet. And she was still living in her apartment and making really cute home decor, but she also crocheted a lot more. I don't know if she still does or not, because she's been like decorating her house and she started doing interior design for somebody else. Anyway, she used to crochet a lot of plushies and she was doing a restock on her website. She was showing everything off the night before on TikTok, and she had made a zombie strawberry, and I'm like, that is really awesome. I want one, but I didn't want hers. Hers was green and very cutesy. And that, I like the idea, but that wasn't quite what I wanted. So I found a strawberry pattern. I believe I used Hey Crochet's free tutorial here on YouTube. I'll link it below. And I made it gray because I actually needed to get rid of some gray that I had of this Bernat blanket yarn. I didn't like Hey Crochet's stem, or I think it's called a calyx. So I went searching some more and I found a free pattern, I believe on the Crochet Club or Club Crochet. I will also link that below, and I liked theirs much better. So what I really love about this, besides it being really cute and very easy to make, was just how I got inspiration from one place, part of the pattern from another place, a different part of the pattern from another place, and then I brought it all together to make something that I feel is very uniquely me. Like this cute but creepy aesthetic I love. And so I'm really proud of it, and I really love it because it kind of signifies what's so great about crochet to me and how you can make something so authentic but inspired and pulled from a bunch of different places. So yeah, number 5. And here we have number 4. These were absolutely everywhere online at the beginning of 2023, I believe. I think the Granny Hexie Cardies were definitely around before that. I feel like this main color combination idea stemmed from Andrea over at Wickedly Handmade. She admits that she got the idea from somebody else who was making a split design for Wednesday and Enid from the Wednesday show. One colorful side, one dark side, just like those 2 characters. But Andrea made the rainbow and the monochromatic and called it her Clashing Moods Cardie, and I was like, I want one and I can make one. And so I did. And I've made tons of these Hexie Cardies in other colors, combinations, and I've even like sewn them up down the middle to make a full pullover sweater. But this is my OG. It is my favorite. I didn't even have to buy yarn except for this berry color and this light purple color. They were the only 2 colors I didn't have anything of. I've made cropped versions. I've made a version even bigger than this that's fully grayscale monochromatic. But this, because of the pockets, I call it my night and day cardie, and I absolutely love it. I can dress it up, I can dress it down, I get compliments everywhere I go. Absolute favorite, number 4 thing I have made. It has brought me so much joy and so much warmth, but I would like to take it off now because it is 90 degrees outside and I don't want that. This is not my number 3. This is trash. This is the first version of my number 3 that I made back in 2020. It is a daily temperature blanket. And I got this idea pattern from Fiberflux YouTube channel. It was a great plan. I love the idea, the concept. It was just a 3-round granny square with the first round being the low of the day, the second round being the high of the day, all joined by a similar color. And it was a join as you go. And I'm like, great, that is an amazing idea. The Unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, I had garbage yarn. As you can see, it has shed, or whatever this is called. It's not technically shedding like you think of pieces coming off like an animal sheds its fur, but it's doing whatever this is, and it is terrible. This is Caron Simply Soft, and I hate it so much with every fiber of my being at this point. This is just from like sitting on the back of a chair and somebody sitting in that chair after a couple of months. Not only that, the problem is the join as you go method just joins in the corners and these center pieces right here. As you can tell, the weight pulls it down, and it ended up becoming more of a grainy rectangle instead of a grainy square. And then also, fault of my own, I didn't really know what I was doing, but this border ended up being tight, so tight that it curls. So if I was going to spend my time and energy keeping up with a blanket for a year, I wanted something to be proud of. And after like a month, I was no longer proud of this. This was absolutely just embarrassing. So earlier this year, on a whim, well, after berating myself a lot and saying, no, you don't need it, yes you do, no you don't, I decided to remake it. So this is my number 3. This is my do-over for my 2020 temperature blanket. What a year that was, but anyway, I also forgot to mention that the outer square I did as a special day. So this is my birthday. This is June 16th, because black and pink are my favorite colors. Mostly black, but I love me a good splash of pink once in a while. This is either Memorial Day or 4th of July. Not 100% sure. But I thought, well, maybe I'll, make it more exciting and put birthdays, maybe an anniversary on there. And then I'm like, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's just do it all. So like, here's Mother's Day. We don't really celebrate that, or Father's Day, greeting card holidays, but it was on there. It's like, why not? We'll make it more fun. Valentine's Day, second daughter's birthday. Her favorite color is pink. Daughter number 1, her favorite color is purple, and she is a New Year's baby. So yeah, I got Halloween and Christmas and Thanksgiving and just all the things that I could possibly think of, even the equinoxes and the solstices. I mean, like, yeah, let's just put it all in there and give it a lot of good variety. So I will go ahead and see how much of this I can get into frame. This is as much as I can get in frame. I'm not gonna do the big roll thing because why bother? But you get the idea. So yeah, with this one, I feel like I used much better yarn, not slippery and shiny and gonna shed or whatever that thing was. I think I did better with the special holidays and birthdays and everything. I put more on there that I didn't get the first time because I didn't come up with the idea until a little later, and I tried to go back and fix them and it didn't work. I wove in the ends better. They're really sticking out on the original blanket. It's actually quite hideous. And I also joined it with a slip stitch in the back loop only, so everything is together, and whenever it's held up, it's not weighted down so much that it turns into a rectangle. So I'm very proud of this. I'm very glad I went back and redid it, because if I'm going to spend that kind of time on something, I want to be proud of it. And I didn't have to wait a whole year for it because I already had all of the temperatures from 2020. So yeah, here's number 3. So after finishing a year-long temperature blanket in 2020, I decided to do another year-long project in 2021. Not quite as intense, but still a lot of work. And I decided to make a wreath for every single month to hang on our front door, because we just had like crappy wreaths that we had bought at like Walmart or Michael's or something, and I would put up a poinsettia wreath on December 1st, which would stay on the front door through like February until March 1st, when I would put up a floral one. So all 12 were a lot of work, but there is one that stands out as my absolute favorite, and to nobody's surprise, it is October's wreath. Here we go. For the entire month of October, this is on my front door, and I love it. I love that when people come to my front door, this is what they see, because this was hard. I only used a pattern to make 0 here, and that was just to get the right shape of the nose. I wasn't 100% sure. But everything else, I made it up, or I had previous knowledge of how to do it. I didn't use any patterns. It all came from me, and I absolutely adore it. What I really love is when the light to our entryway is on and our door has a window that this hangs over. The moon is backlit, and it's so pretty. Can't leave that on all the time though, unfortunately. I actually hate the fact that I have to put this outside because I'm always scared something's gonna happen to it, but so far we've been lucky. I did try to make a little Sally, much like this kind of Jack applique over here, and I had her right here. And she was only up for a day. She looked like a cross between a Muppet and a South Park character, and I just could not have that. So I took her off with a hair dryer, had to get the hot glue off, and I just made Jack his little tombstone. But yeah, I love it so much. So much. Unfortunately, this part is really heavy because it's stuffed to get the shape, and it hangs slightly askew. Drives me a little crazy. Other than that, it's perfection. And for my number one. Okay, so not every single one of these dolls is my number one, but the concept is my number one. So my daughters dance. They've been dancing for 6 years, and starting with their second season, it actually became a tradition, started by me, obviously, for me to make a doll of each of them in one of their recital costumes. I did not crochet their first year. I started almost toward the end of the season, and I didn't even get into amigurumi until halfway through their second season. And I'd seen before a tutorial on how to loom knit a ballerina doll, and I tried it, and I think I did the body and the head, and it was just lumpy and weird and did not look normal. So I gave up on it. I was gonna give them each one, but in like a tutu of their favorite color, but I was like, no, this is not cute enough for me to make. So when I got into AMI halfway through their second year of dance, I was like, well, maybe I can revisit that idea. And I found a pattern on Etsy. I think it's Happy Bunny Crochet. I'm not 100% sure. I will definitely be linking it below though. And it was a basic ballerina doll, and I thought, okay, I'll make one in purple for my oldest and one in pink for my youngest. Their favorite colors. It'll be super cute. Match hair and eye color details, things like that. This is the second year, and I was making this one for my youngest, and I thought, well, her costume already kind of looks a lot like the ballerina doll. What if I just made the costume she's wearing instead? My oldest was a lot more complicated, and she was actually a fairy. They were doing this, she was one of the Sugar Plum fairies. They were doing a whole Disney theme that year. They tried, it was 2020. It was a mess, but anyway, we got through it. So anyway, I made a doll for each of them, and then I'm like, well, what if I just did this every year? So of course, this was their second year, so I had to make a first year. And for Christmas that year, they got their first year dolls. Then ever since then, I'm just making a doll for each of them every single year. And since they now have like multiple costumes and things like that, they start off in like one class each, but now they have multiple costumes. They know they're getting the doll. They get to pick which costume they want the doll modeled after, which I think it's great because it's like they know, but do they really know? So this is my absolute favorite thing I am proud of. They're not all winners, like I said, but my absolute favorite was definitely year 4 because my youngest got into hip hop that year. And this costume was exhausting to make. It was really hard. This part up here was fine, but this is the only time I've done flat-footed sneakers. The rest of them have their feet either pointed or, I mean, they're all pointed. They just either have different color for shoes or it's skin tone. So not only was that difficult, but this, I mean, it's not even really like a shirt she's wearing because it was too thick to make an actual like flannel looking shirt. So, and to even find yarn to make that was impossible. So this was all white, and I dip dyed it blue to match. And then I even made it plaid with different sizes of black yarn. This was so much work. I was actually finishing it up the morning of recital because I had dyed this the night before and it was still wet and I needed to get it sewn onto the doll. This one wasn't as much work, but it was significantly more work than I thought it would be because in the back, it just goes, well, actually on the side, it slants up in a way that I had to get the stitches just right on either side. So year 4, I think, was an absolute gold standard year for my abilities. The last couple of years, I mean, have been good. It's just that the costumes have been far simpler. Like this was so easy. I had these knocked out like 2 weeks before recital even happened. And this year, easy. This was a little more work just because of the hat, but I had made a hat before. It wasn't anything novel. So again, the quality's still there. It's just like these two are my favorite just because the amount of work and what I had to come up with for solutions to get the dolls done. So absolute number 1 favorites overall, but these two for sure. So that's it. Those are my top 5 plus 1 favorite things that I have made in the last 5 years since I started crocheting. And I'm sure it'll change. I bet that book blanket over there that I've been working on for 6 months and will continue to work on for the next 6 months will probably make the list because of all of the work that's going into it, not just with crocheting, but also the hobby of reading. But for now, those are the top 5 that I am very proud of. It complements on most of the stuff I make. At the end of the year when I post everything on Facebook for my friends and family to see, I post the dolls the day of recital when the girls get them, and everybody's just telling me how great they are, and yes, I love that I came up with the concept to make them each a doll in a costume every year. I think they're going to be a great keepsake. I mean, they are looking a little worse for wear in some cases because my youngest does sleep with them, or used to sleep with them on her bed, and the older one keeps them on a shelf, the lowest shelf of her bookcase where they collect dust and hair and that kind of stuff. But that doesn't matter because it's theirs, it's their gifts. They can do whatever they want with it, and it's just a great reminder of this time in their life when they dance, because it's not going to be forever. They're probably not going to do it past high school. So it's actually killing me that I know for a fact I only have probably 3 more to make for my oldest, and it breaks my heart a little, but it's okay. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me brag, because that's what it was. This was just like a brag fest. It's okay to be proud of yourself. Just remember that. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's great to take pride in what you've made and not be humble and like, oh no, it's nothing. No, it is something. It's hard work, it's creativity, and there are a lot of people who can't do it. So always be proud of what you make when you feel like you've really done something special. They're not all bangers, but a lot of times they will be. But I know I said in my first video that I was gonna do videos on Mondays and Fridays, but I've decided just to stick to Fridays from now on. So with that being said, thank you for coming on this braggy journey with me. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the YouTube things, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.